Welcome to episode 186 of The Numbers Game. We are joined by our producer, Tommy Jackett, again. So welcome, Tommy.
Boys, thanks for having me back.
This might be your last episode for a little while. Not because you haven't been performing. It's just Jace. We think we've located him. We're not sure, but we think he'll be back for the next episode, which we're really excited about. So thanks for jumping on. Nick, how are you, my friend?
I'm very well, Marty. It's obviously sad to see Tommy go, so we'll make this real special. Just pushing into a Melbourne winter, mate, and it just feels a little bit colder all of a sudden. As soon as they say winter, I don't know what it is, but it just felt colder. It's feeling colder this week. So
when I think ocean swims, I think of you, Nick. Well, bay swims.
Yes, thank you, Tommy. What am I wearing?
Well, I'm thinking of you in some budgie smugglers. Are you actually wearing? What do you wear? Budgie smugglers?
No. Actually, we have just purchased some budgie smugglers as a group with our group branding on them. But yes, we are doing that. But I wear like wetsuit shorts. So there's shorts that are made out of the wetsuit material, just give you a bit of buoyancy as you get older. You know, your sore back needs an uplift.
So which beach are you swimming at? Just so our audience can come down and appreciate the budgie smugglers.
You won't see us, mate. It's always dark by the time we take off, so there's no point coming down, really.
I've actually thought to myself to ask you if I can join. What would that look like? Are you actually doing a swim? Like, are you doing kilometres of swimming? Because I probably won't join if that's the case.
Yeah, but you don't have to do it all. You can, come out to the pole and then go back. Yeah. And maybe the next day come out to the pole and do a bit more and go back. But we won't be with you if you do that. So, it's a couple. It's probably 2.5 kilometres.
What's this pole? Budgie smugglers pole. What are you doing?
Well, we go out to the pole. So anyone that's familiar with the bay in Melbourne, the yellow poles that go all the way along the bay. Okay. So you swim out to the poles and you generally swim pole to pole. You know.
Any sharks? What are you seeing?
No sharks in the bay. If there were, the water quality is not good enough to see them. So that's the positive about the Melbourne Bay being a little bit dirty. You don't know what's there.
It's a quick end.
Oh,
correct. No, look, I've often Googled shark attack Melbourne Bay.
But I'm out.
Cannot find anything. So that just gives me confidence that we're all good to go.
Wouldn't be widely promoted, I wouldn't think.
Well, you do see dolphins. Haven't been lucky enough to have them swim with us yet. But we do see them. Seals. I saw a seal. Yep. That scared the shit out of me. Yeah. Because I just saw this thing pop up. Which wasn't a human or a boat. So immediately you think shark. And as much as I'd love to swim with the dolphins, I'm actually dreading the day for the first 10 seconds when I don't know what it is and I just see this fin next to me. Because it will happen, because it's happened to most people that swim down there for sure.
I've had that happen up in the Whitsundays and scared the pants off me.
But no, there's no sharks out there. Look, there's more things to worry about. You've probably got more chance of being hit by a bloke from Williamstown or jet ski, to be honest, than you have a shark. So,
well, there's a higher chance of your business failing than there is of a shark bite these days, according to your stats last week.
Yeah, exactly right.
There's more things to worry about, but it's really inspirational you're getting in there. I mean, you're very consistent with your training methodology. So it's I know we joke around, but it's you're leading the way, mate. And there are more things to be worried about, Tommy. And you had something that you are bringing to the table that's personal to you that we might be able to help or not help. I don't know yet, but. What do you mean? What's happened?
The worry is still ongoing, Marty. It hasn't left. So this was something that happened to my family in December of last year. So 2023, it's my wife's birthday on the 15th of December. And we went to Crown Casino to stay for the night, took our 2 kids, thought, this is going to be awesome. Friday night, buffet in the morning, check in 2 p.m., and so we check in and the kids are going crazy as they do. And she had the bags and I was checking us all in. I turn around, she's not there anymore. And I see she's over, herding the kids. She's taken the bags and she's left her bag down for a minute or so. and it's gone. And so we didn't know until we got up into the room, and Amy said, "Have you seen my bag?" And all of a sudden, the panic set in that, yeah, it's gone. Someone's obviously taken it because she didn't bring it with us. And so I managed to see on my phone where her phone that was in the bag, plus her work phone that was in the bag, plus her wallet that was in the bag. I managed to see that it was across the Yarra and in the city.
Oh, because the phone, you had Find My Phone on?
Yes, yeah, I had Find My Friend, so I can locate GPS track her phone.
Yes. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And so, fast forward a week and 10 days. So you go forward 10 days to the 25th of December, Christmas Day. Mind you, we'd already put in a police report, so flag that it's been stolen, do insurance, cancel the phones. And so fast forward to December 25, this is Christmas Day, there has been identity fraud committed in her name because they've had possession of her license, her Medicare card, her credit card. So they know your address. They have the keys to our house. So we had to get the house changed. So it's absolute nightmare. But it wasn't until early January that we even became aware of this stuff. And I will backtrack to tell you how we actually became aware of the fraud that happened on Christmas Day. They must have a great day. But we received a letter in the mail from a bank account that had been set up. So it was a Suncorp Bank, letter addressed to my wife, and I thought, that's not our bank. I opened it. Sure enough, there's a card with her name on it. And I instantly knew that this is identity theft. Have you ever had anything like this happen to you boys?
Personally, no, but I have had a client in Baldwin. I remember they pitched some information out of his letterbox and set up an identity with banks and other types of areas they could get money. And he took him a couple of years to get it sorted, but it was an absolute nightmare. But my question, Tommy, was if you could see where the bag was going, how come no one else could? Like, what was the problem wouldn't the cops be all over that tracking device?
They turn it off, and then the phone is no longer
so they turned it off. Yeah.
So they left it on for a short period of time, and then they turned it off. But the crazy thing is that we put in a complaint to the police and you get a report back and you actually ask, what do we do now? Like, is there anything we can do? And they're very blasé, whether it's just the, officer in charge at that moment that doesn't understand. And so they didn't tell us what to do. Then you go to the bank, Suncorp, which we called straight away saying, hey, this isn't us. Please close this account and then we had to jump through some hoops. They end up saying to us, you can go to a company called ID Care, which is a not-for-profit organisation set up to help people that have been affected by identity fraud. And what do you know? We contact them, send them an email, no response. So it's just like, this is another moment where you feel like if this was any worse, how bad you would be feeling just based on a lack of control. And I bumped into a friend who's a detective, and she said, oh, no, you have to change your license number. So you need to actually go through the process. Otherwise, this is going to keep happening again. So just little word of advice, if you want to change your license number beyond just replacing your license, very, very hard. We had to submit a form from the bank stating that there'd been identity fraud. We had to submit the police report. Do you know how you get it to them?
Hand delivery?
Almost. You literally have to print it off and send it snail mail, and then they say, we'll get back to you in 30 days.
What chance have you got?
They emailed us back. I don't know how you can't just email them, but they emailed us back saying, we're not going to change the license number. You don't meet the criteria. And it didn't make any sense. So we lost a bit of faith in all of this process. And so I had to take it upon myself to do a bit of digging. And I found this site Equifax, which I know, Nick, you're across this. And what Equifax is, from what I've learned, and you might be able to help me understand this, boys. When it comes to your credit score, there's sort of the three big credit bodies that run these checks. And so Equifax is one of them. Do you know where this company is based? Is this a global business? Is this?
Are they global? I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
I'm not sure. I know they're in Australia, but they could be. Yeah, worldwide.
Yeah, and so I created an account on Equifax, and you run through a process of supplying your credit card, so your driver's license number, your passport, verifying your identity, basically. And I couldn't believe it spits out for you and gives you an exact number of the debt that you have through your mortgage, through your bank account, through the credit card you have. So you can see all of this live. And you can also set up a block on your credit. So anyone who runs a credit test or a check through phone or credit card application or loan application, it won't go through because it's been blocked. And so this is 5 months ago, and I still pay $15 a month for this service, and I get the credit score, or I get the credit report each month. But this is where I took things into my own hands. So I get a report each month, and it gives you basically a list of companies that have filed a credit check with Equifax. And I saw that on the 25th of December 2023, there was 5 attempts at loan applications that had been lodged under Amy's name. Suncorp actually wasn't one of them, so they must have got through there. And the others, were small loan businesses. There's one called Plenty Services, Wiser Finance. And I Googled these names because it doesn't give you the address or anything. It's just basically just saying what proprietary the business is. And I searched them. And so then my wife called up each of these businesses to basically try and flag that her name, she never set these up. And so she managed to get a few of them closed, and others were requiring more information. But if we hadn't have done that, these applications may have gone through or may have, kept happening. And so they are able to flag it. So, yeah, it was very disheartening at the lack of support that you can get out there without paying $15 a month, or even without even knowing this. So I think a friend of mine just said, there's Equifax. And so I looked into that at that point.
Yeah, well, firstly, kudos to you for taking it in your own hands, because the system is a system, right? And, the three of us on this podcast probably don't have the ability to change the system. Yeah. And I think...
And maybe Marty, he does some viral hits.
Maybe Marty's probably up to 300,000 on that now. We actually haven't done a check. But I think, this... the fraud and, all kinds of, whether it's identity theft or whatever it is, it's moving so fast. And, you've got legacy systems in place with organisations and governments around IDing people and whatnot, that it's very difficult to move that needle, and they just can't keep up. And the government has come out and said that, that it's high on the priority list now, but they still won't keep up. So the only thing that you can do is take matters into your own hands and do everything that you can to protect yourself. And if someone steals your identity, generally the thing that they can do and they will do is apply for credit in your name. That's the quickest thing that they can do. These days, lenders like the ones you mentioned, Plenty and Wiser, it's all online. So, you go online, you can get a credit facility pretty quickly, as crazy as it sounds. Anyone who doesn't have Equifax or who isn't on Equifax needs to sign up now, and maybe we'll put that in the show notes on what to do, because it's an absolute must. And just to explain it, but anytime you want to get a credit card, even if you want to get a phone bill, if you want to go to Bunnings and open a Bunnings account, if it requires payment terms or credit, that company that's giving you those terms or that credit will jump on a system like Equifax, and they will check your credit to make sure that, number one, you're a real person, Number 2, you're not bankrupt. And number 3, you're good for the money, basically. If you've got a bad credit rating, that will impact their decision on whether or not to give you the facility. So anyone who's applying for credit in your name, Equifax are going to work it out because that business that they're applying with will go to Equifax. So that $15 a month, what you can do, I know you're getting yourself sent the report, but it's also got notifications. So I've got that as well. And every time that someone hits my credit file, I actually get an email or a text, whatever you choose, that says, hey, there's been a look at your credit file. And a lot of the times, because we're doing stuff with the business, I'll know, yep, that's me. I've gone for that facility. But if it's not me, I know that I can then jump online, to your point, see who actually had a look, and if it was plenty or wiser, ring them like you have for Amy and get that shut down. So it's an absolute must in the current environment we're in when there is limited control over the system, and we're kind of all in it. So we've got to look at things that we can do, but it's a dead set must.
Yeah, the credit report's vital. There's 2 components. One, acknowledging that something's happened like that. There's another thing is sorting it out, which Tommy's just explained how challenging that can be. And I'm sorry you and Amy had to go through that because it's not a great thing to go through, that's for sure. But the other thing, like I remember I have an ANZ credit card, and they have something called Shield, which is protection, just a cyber protection mechanism. And someone had tried to somehow take money out across the other side of Melbourne, even though they didn't have my card. But it got highlighted through Shield, and I got notified right away that it was a suspect transaction, and I rang and I said, absolutely it is. So I had it come up on the Equifax report, but Shield were good enough to actually lock that down to ensure that transaction didn't proceed. So I was really grateful for that because I'd never had anything like that happen before, because I don't know how the hell they got details. How did they get it into an ATM? First of all, doesn't make any sense to me, but somehow they did it, and Shield were good enough to get onto it. But I think there's an idea, even linking to that credit report, is how do you lock down as soon as something's highlighted as a problem? How do all things get locked down when you're the owner of that identity, and you then can control the narrative as immediately as possible, rather than going through what you had no chance, given what you had to go through with snail mail, given what had happened. That's a disgrace.
Yeah, and Marty, I'm glad you brought up the ANZ Shield, because there's 3 things that are vital. The first one is Equifax, as in 3 things you control. The second one is you should have multi-factor authentication, or 2FA, which is, if you go to do a payment, there is then another authorization, which generally comes via a text message or an app with that particular bank. You absolutely must have that switched on. And second to that, if you can, you should have the authentication through the app, not a text message, because they're starting to work out where they can intercept text messages as well. So that's a really easy fix. And the other thing that you can do, depending on your bank, but I've actually got notifications as to when money is spent on my bank account. So if money is spent or there's a debit, I get a notification straight away, all through the app. So straight away I can see, well, that was me or that was not. It's really good when you want to keep your wife under control too. I've had some mates tell me I can see exactly what's happening. Sometimes it's a bad thing, but
vice versa.
Or vice versa, yeah. So you've got to look at the low-hanging fruit and say, okay, what are the checks I can do? And what you'll find is those checks are going to cancel out 99% of the risk. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
One thing, so I know you're saying Equifax, and I agree, but the problem is, now how long am I paying $15 a month for? I know I pay more for Netflix, but at the same time, if it's like insurance, you don't actually use it, but you need it. It's the same sort of thinking there, but it really feels like there's no end. Once you start, you can't stop. Equifax, that's their catch line.
Yeah. Yeah, but
good tagline.
I totally get what you're saying too. You feel like you shouldn't have to pay for it, right?
But I think there is a level of human error that can still override all of this. So the communication we had with these banks, Suncorp being one of them, and then one of those lenders, a lady, because you're speaking to random people, you call up, they put you through, yep, no worries, you're having a conversation. And if you choose a certain way of speaking, you might get a different response, i.e. saying something like, whose name is on the account, whose email address was linked. And then they decide to repeat that back to you, which is exactly what happened. And we found out the email address that was linked to this application, which wasn't ours. But they're not meant to give that to us. And at one point we called back and we said, how do you know that we're not the people committing this fraud? Like, they hadn't verified with us. And how could they verify with us? Because we never set up a bank account. And so at that point, it's just there is a level of human error that can still come into play.
And you had the unfortunate situation of them going to banks you weren't associated with.
Yes.
So it's like that's a real tricky situation. And
and to go back to what I was saying, it's moving so fast, and banks are trying to keep up with it as well. But to your point, human error, like we hold a lot of data for clients and a lot of important data. So data security is a big thing for us. And we do a lot of work around it. We have external advisors come in and we do a lot of training. And a big part of that training, outside of, the systems we need to have in place, one of the biggest elements of the training is staff and how are staff acting in our business, because they're actually the biggest risk, because they're the ones that, you can have 15 amazing systems in place, but if someone does the wrong thing, then it overrides all of that. And that's the difficulty, right?
One of my best mates is he's got a business and he's a coder, so he's building systems for his own business, infrastructure, online infrastructure for his merchandising business. And I was with him over the weekend, and we were talking about just these government rollouts of these new initiatives like the ID, digital ID. And I won't get to where he goes to with it all, but from his understanding of building these systems, they're stacked on top of each other. So there's something up the top that is built infrastructure that allows, a tier down to then build something else on top of their infrastructure. And so it's hard because we're trusting these different layers of development teams that can potentially make an error, or they don't have their data locked down. And you see how these, companies are having data breaches, which locks down the business. There was a doctor, like an online doctor's examination, appointment business that just got locked down recently because it was hacked. But it's interesting because technology will solve a lot of these problems, but it also brings a whole new challenge.
Yeah, and we just had a lender or a funder that had a data breach, and they're not a major bank, but they're not a small lender. They've been around for as long as I can remember, so they're a legitimate business. But all I'll say is it's not going to stop. It's only going to get worse and worse and worse, and we can't stop it. We just need to take on the responsibility ourselves.
AHM, my private health insurer, were hacked, I think, a year ago. So we were all very nervous in regards to what information they had. And I think, like you said, it's only going to get more challenging because, sometimes there's voice recognition, sometimes there's face recognition. And just with all the AI tools at the moment, like the technology is surpassing the securities. And it's so it's something we have to be conscious of and be aware of. And like Nick said, all we can do is protect ourselves the best way possible. And we've talked about a few tips today. But yeah, I think it's an area that's only going to keep growing.
Might move back out to the valley, Marty. Just keep the cash under the bed.
Yeah.
Yep. Gun at the door.
Gun at the door.
Electric fence. Yeah. Just come in at will.
Yeah.
So I'm much more exposed digitally than I am in the home front.
Yeah.
But it really, and Tommy, I'd like to get your feelings on this in regards to, I almost feel like it's a break into your house because it's such personal data and that's been stolen, and then they, again, it's on your credit file. Then it's hard to get lending until you get it off. And it's like, how do you feel personally having gone through it? can't imagine.
Yeah, I think it's just based on it not being worse than it has been. I'm very, very thankful, but just seeing where it could have gone is scary. Knowing, think about this. Think about how silly it is for a driver's license to have your home address on it, and usually that's with your keys that you use for your car. So if you lose that, they know where your house is. They know where your car is. I had to guess my car key changed. And luckily my insurance company, this is another little fact, most insurers probably have a policy you haven't looked at, which is a replacement coding of your key. It was free. I didn't even pay a cent, but I wouldn't have known that unless I had been through this, and then you find it out. And so, yeah, it was more like from a house point of view, we were actually thinking someone comes to the house. Like we had to change our locks and all of that. So it was a digital breach and almost a literal breach of our house.
They might need one piece of information that gets them approved on that loan, and thinking about how do they get that. So it's pretty terrifying, actually.
Well, they need the card to activate the loan or something like that. So the biggest thing is from Equifax also offer like a block, so a instant credit block, and you can submit it to the other major credit score.
That would be great.
And so you literally press a button when it happened.
Yep.
I was doing this.
It just blocks everything.
I did it for about 3 months straight before I just let it go because there was nothing. So most of the people that are doing this are opportunistic, and if they can't do it within the first, week or two,
they lose interest.
Although in saying that, they were doing it on Christmas Day, so I don't know. Their morals are very thin. Let's be honest.
Oh, there's no Santa surprise there that's worth worth going into. No, well, thank you for sharing that story, Tommy, and thank you for being on the show for the last 3 episodes as our gun producer. And if anyone is looking to engage in podcast technology, all digitally very safe with Tommy. So, VidPod is the business name, I believe. And where can people best find you, Tommy?
Yeah, vidpod.com.au is my business. But yeah, appreciate you guys supporting me. I'm a big fan of Innovate. Luckily I have a house thanks to you guys. The team
Here to serve. Your identity's safe with us too.
Yeah, I'm glad you still got it by the sounds of it. Goodness me.
Don't worry, I can see the debt amount on my Equifax.
Well, we welcome back Jace in the next episode. We feel like we have found him, and he will be back. So thank you for being on the show, Tommy. Thank you, Nick, and be sure to check us out on Instagram, YouTube. Tell your friends, family. We're here to help. The more engagement we get, the more we know what you want as listeners that's important to you. So until next time, stay safe. Game over.
This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. The conversations are of a general nature and do not qualify as financial or tax advice. We recommend before you make any financial decisions, you consult a licensed professional. Individuals on the podcast may hold positions in the companies discussed.